ODM party is at crossroads. On Friday, they are calling a meeting to iron out some issues. Today, I realized after the swearing in, a number of leaders, John Mbadi, one of the most happiest of all, reported to his office. Oparanya was being received in his current home. Kipchumba Murkomen had also organized some celebration. I think Kipchumba Murkomen must have been the most depressed of all cabinet secretaries. But in parliament, something unusual was happening. Sifuna was blowing hot and cold. Even after being part of it, I've been saying that this mongrel of that agreement is going to crush some careers, and some careers are in the lifeline. And probably they may not be able to put it right. I want us to listen to Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM. His statement in Parliament today mirrors the confusion that has rocked the opposition wing.
Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, in that very same breath, allow me to support the statement that has been issued by Senator Cherargei. Honorable Speaker, you know, in my other capacity, I'm the SG of ODM, a party that has suffered the brunt of some of the things that Senator Cherargei is referring to. Mr. Speaker, there was a very public confession one time by the former Senator of Nairobi, the Honorable Mike Sonko, on what they used to do in order to paint the ODM party as a violent party whenever we would want to exercise our rights under Article 37. And Mr. Speaker, he revealed then this culture of people hiring goons in order to disrupt peaceful protests, or even to paint the peaceful protests as anything other than peaceful protest. I was very alarmed, Honorable Speaker, to see the scenes in Kapsabet. I saw the same scenes in Kakamega, and I have seen the same scenes here in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, it is very worrying. I do not understand why you need to interfere with anybody's peaceful protest. There are 7 days in a week. If Sifuna wants to protest on Monday, you can very well pick Tuesday to show support or something against what I stand for. Honorable Speaker, what is even more worrying is that this happens in the full glare of the police and the security forces in this country. It is very disturbing, Honorable Speaker, that if the Constitution requires that anybody proceeding in a street, in a public space, should be unarmed, how can police just look at a group of people armed, openly armed, with rungus, with clubs, with other things, walking around in order to scare other people from exercising their rights under Article 37? Honorable Speaker, we must condemn this, and I am happy that even Senator Cherargei has gotten to a place where he can agree with the SG of ODM that this is not right and it needs to stop. Honorable Speaker, that's what I'm saying. I am very happy. So I want to support him and say that nobody should fetter on any other person's right to peacefully protest. It doesn't matter what your cause is. I don't have to agree with your cause. If I don't agree with your cause, let me sit at home and wait for the causes that I agree with to take me to the streets. But it is very unfair. And Honorable Speaker, although I have heard people sing praises about the cabinet secretaries that have been appointed, I was a bit disappointed with the cabinet secretaries that were reappointed, especially in the security sector, because I personally don't believe that we are going to see any change in philosophy. Honorable Speaker, we need to see police reforms. We need to be able to secure these rights under the Constitution. If the same brains are the ones that were present when we were seeing goons in Kapsabet and in Kakamega, what expectation do we have really that there's something that is going to change? So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this, and I want to say this as a Senator of Nairobi. I will never judge anyone going to the streets for any cause, because I have been there myself. We have pushed for many things that are being pushed for even by the Gen Zs right now. And it is within their right. So for the police to allow people to interfere with them, Honorable Speaker, for me here in Nairobi, people just see me these days. They don't know how much I've suffered. Honorable Speaker, there was a phenomenon here in Nairobi called Nairobi Business Community. Those people, Honorable Speaker, used to scare us so that we cannot go to the streets. And I don't see them anymore. I don't know if their business is closed. I don't see them anymore. They used to be deployed specifically for Maandamano that is championed by ODM and the opposition. Honorable Speaker, we even saw sometimes you would hire a ground like Uhuru Park, and then a conflict arises out of nowhere. You hear there was supposed to be a crusade here by some obscure bishop, just so that you do not have that meeting at that particular point. So as a staunch defender of the rights under Article 37, I want to fully associate myself with the statement that has been sought, and we need to bring those security chiefs here, especially the CS, the reinvented CS for security, internal security. I want to hear him tell us what he's going to do about this specter of people mobilizing goons in order to dissuade other people from participating in peaceful protests. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, on the statement that has been sought by Senator Crystal Asige, I do not know what Kenyans expected, because the output is as good as the input. The truth of the matter is that we are a country on the we are on a downward trajectory when it comes to everything to do with sports in this country, because we have not invested in sports, Honorable Speaker. When Senator Veronica Maina talks about the stadia that has been built in Rwanda, do you know, Honorable Speaker, that the last meaningful national stadium or international stadium that was built in this country were built by President Moi? They were built by President Moi. Successive regimes since Moi built as Nyayo Stadium and built as the stadium in Kasarani. We have never done a structure to that level. Honorable Speaker, just a few months ago, I was here on this floor complaining that we football fans missed a critical fixture between Harambee Stars and the African champions Cote d'Ivoire because it had to be played in Malawi. It was very embarrassing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this afternoon before I came to the House, I was watching the final of the national secondary schools soccer game between Highway Secondary and my alma mater, Musingu High School. Of course, I was very conflicted because I am the senator of Nairobi, but I also went to Musingu High School, and I want to congratulate Highway for their victory. I will be going to the school to see them later, Honorable Speaker. But the thing that I noticed from this year's games and even last year's games that were in Kakamega is that there is a yearning for sports in this country, and there is excellence in the grassroots. Buhungu Stadium last year hosted these games, and it was packed to the brim. The same as Gusii Stadium during this year's games. What is it that happens between talent at the grassroots and them being able to make it all the way to the national stage and even international stage? You had the story of the runner from Makueni, Honorable Speaker. We have frustrated our own people, and I cannot begrudge anybody who will want to go and look for opportunity elsewhere for as long as you are able to express your talent. Honorable Speaker, to this effect, I want to beg members of this House, I have sponsored a motion, a bill, to amend the Sports Act, because the Sports Act, Honorable Speaker, initially was supposed to bring some sort of cure to some of the problems we have identified. We were supposed to build academies in all the constituencies to support sporting activities at that level. It has never been done, because immediately those who were in power then saw how much money was actually being realized in the sports fund out of sports betting, Honorable Speaker. They decided to introduce things that have nothing to do with sports. On application of the fund, they introduced this thing of using money for universal health care. Honorable Speaker, that is where the problem is. I have sponsored an amendment. It was read for the first time here yesterday, Honorable Speaker, to the Sports Act, that each county must set aside at least 1% of the money this Senate gives them to support registered sporting associations. And this thing was triggered, this idea was triggered by an experience I've had, and I'm sure every member in this House has had. Every time the Nairobi Boxing Association has a tournament in Kirinyaga, in Vihiga, they come to my office asking me to support them with mundane things such as just transport to the venue. They have no money to hire training halls. They have no money to pay referees. So we want at least 1% of the money that this Senate sends to be set aside to support these sporting associations, because we believe that at that particular level, Honorable Speaker, we should be able to support them so that they come up. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, I think if we don't deal with the question of corruption and favoritism in even selection of the national teams, I think we are doing this country a disservice. You go and watch these games at the grassroots, you watch grassroots football, you watch the high school games, you can see a player, a midfielder who can receive a pass, put his head up, look for somewhere to pass the ball, and that person just disappears within the system. You go to Nyayo Stadium to watch Harambee Stars and you're wondering, a guy cannot even make one pass, Honorable Speaker, and is playing for Harambee Stars. We used to have very low standards when we used to go to Nyayo Stadium. We say, we don't want to score. Can we just see 3 good passes and go home happy? Honorable Speaker, the bar has been set so low. So we need to see what is it that happens when these national coaches are selecting people. There is allegations of favoritism. And the most frustrating thing is you cannot even touch the management of football in this country, because immediately we say we want to disband FKF and have fresh elections. They run to their daddy in Switzerland. Honorable Speaker, you get a call from Switzerland telling you, if you interfere with the current management, we are going to ban Kenya for X number of years. It is very frustrating for us, especially soccer fans who know there is talent in this country. That just
Now, that is Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM Party. He was talking after another Senator, Arun Cheriot, also spoke. Arun Cheriot, after the protest, really took a U-turn and has been thinking, probably is amongst the team that is not fearing to tell the government what they think should be done. Now, there are some 4 areas that ODM must look into if they are to make relevance moving forward. They must look into this area. So this will be a very brief just analysis, because I want us to look into it. The respect of human rights. You know, there is one thing that is happening, and we must agree on this. The Gen Z movement is going down. It's being suppressed, and the suppression strategies could be working for the state. But this is not the first, this may not be the last time. Number 2, the ODM must also know and agree that they got it through this. They took advantage of this agreement, or rather that deal was hatched during this time. And for decades, they have been in the streets, not for decades, Raila, of course. For a decade now, they've been on the street, of course, on human rights grounds, trying to fight justice. Now, if the Kenya Kwanza administration will continue with the line, and there will be violation of human rights, and ODM will keep quiet, they will not be able to separate themselves with the current administration. I have seen an attempt by Sifuna, Raila, and some ODM politicians trying to say, we are not in government. We are not together with the Ruto administration. The first sign, if you're not together, you must ensure that you push the social rights and the justice. Let us see you standing in solidarity with those who've been affected, with those who've suffered in the hands of the state. Otherwise, that you shall, and I agree with those who are saying, yes, probably Raila has done his part. It is time for him now to sit back. So you must join. Otherwise, things are not going to be, they might be deemed as joint government, and any other formation, political formation, alternative voice that will emerge will sweep them together with the ruling party. The opposition must push opposition in parliament. In fact, for parliament to get its independence, the opposition must regain its position. I know now there is a lot of conflict of interest, because even these 4 CSS from ODM that have joined government, there are a lot of interest. During vetting, there was something MPs kept on insisting, and they were saying there is a trend of these cabinet members not picking our calls. So, and I think Moses Wetangula said, and was even warning some these cabinet members, that when you join government, the last thing I would want to hear is this statement that some of you have failed, or rather have refused to pick the calls of the MPs, and was telling them that, remember, you guys in cabinet that are going to cabinet, you've been vetted and you've been given okay by this house. So when you go to the other side, please receive our calls. Then I was asking, why do you think MPs are insisting that the cabinet to pick their calls? Why are they insisting? And what brings people not picking calls? It's because of the interest. An MP anaona advert iko kwa ministry, kuna hii barabara, or there is that tender, they want to call the CS to influence so that they can get it. It is just purely interest. So the opposition must push opposition. In parliament, if this is the time that the ruling party would bring all manner of draconian laws to be passed, I saw even that one for the protest and picketing amendment bill. I saw it somewhere by Rukus. It was suspended sometime during the finance bill, but now they're now returning it to parliament. it had some very funny clauses there. So the opposition might remain within its side for them to probably have their political clout. Lastly, the other thing I'm seeing, the Gen Z protests have affected the urban vote. And those who are seeking positions in these urban centers, in these constituencies and in urban areas, for example in Nairobi, they must really think beyond. If they stick with that political party position, I remember before finance bill, the Jalangos and some of UDA members who are within urban centers, especially in Nairobi, they were challenging the president, and Jalango asked the president, where I am coming is an ODM zone. So allow me to vote yes. Allow me to vote no. And that it's really explained that that's one of the reasons why some of those fellows even voted no. Some said in these areas is here. So even the likes of Sifuna might suffer that. The urban youth is more angered and their participation is higher. They must share the burden of incumbency. Moving forward, I'm seeing the way Mbadi Joho was very happy, and of course we also feel, yeah, of all those cabinet nominees, I saw Joho was so jovial. You know, he was really ridiculed and by that Waziri wa Mashamba thing, because he was supposed to be CS in charge of lands, and maybe, who knows, maybe a reshuffle will happen, and before 2027 Joho will land in the Ministry of Lands. You know, will land in the Ministry of Land. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think for the Sifunas to survive, they have a long way to go. They have a long way to prove their point. But for them to go, they must put the act together. And ODM party, if they wanted to even redeem their state, what they would have done, they would have ceded those positions to other parties. And probably, oh, I'm wrong. You know, these positions, they're not just positions. They come with some perks or security, I don't know, car, I don't know what, and some privileges. They come with some perks and privileges. So that's why people scramble for them. But they would have, what they would have done, because if they feel they are part of government, then they cannot be able to hit government. The truth is they'll not be able to hit government. There is a headache in ODM. Raila is leaving to campaign for AU, and there is some transition supposed to happen there. So camps have started emerging. What they would have done, they would have given these positions even to Wiper. Some critical positions you would have given to Wiper. Then you empower Wiper to be the voice, so that Wiper and Akambele akisema, you guys back up then as ODM. Because I'm very sure the ODM party I'm seeing, and those people I'm seeing, they're also positioning themselves for something that might come from those ministries. And the executive, the members that have gone to the executive are part of government. So they may not be able to hit. For example, Wandayi might have a tender that someone within ODM is looking for. Because that is what, there is nothing else I'm seeing apart from those ones. In Kenya Kwanza, it is the president who launches every project, from a toilet to a water tap. It is the president who launches. To a very minor role to a mega project, it is the president who will launch everything, even a chief's camp, you know, even a cattle dip. It is the president who launches. So most of this is not going to be, most of them are not going to be so much engaged in many things. And so let's wait and see. Raila have laid a trap for them. Raila have told the country William Ruto was looking for experts, and he has donated for him experts. And the president have also said they're going to join government, and so not him alone is going to be called Zakayo. So let's see how that pans out. Because if there will be no change in the litmus paper, then I'm afraid we have the next finance bill. If it might also be another opportunity to add taxes, I'm telling you, we might have succeeded by unleashing all manner of force in the population to suppress, but without putting our act together, we might end up where we were a month ago. Thank you.